Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to our fourth annual Kenshiki Forum. As the global automotive sector witnesses a once-in-a-century decade of transformation, it's clear when it comes to societal shifts and ambitious mobility and environmental goals that Europe is the most rapidly changing region in the world. The pace of change we're seeing in both customer expectations and regulatory obligations is quite simply unprecedented. And it comes at a time when we're already facing many other significant challenges. The seemingly never-ending impact of COVID, the prolonged conflict between Russia and Ukraine, the continued supply chain disruption resulting from the global semiconductor shortage, and now hyperinflation at a level that we haven't seen in decades. These factors are impacting businesses and private consumers alike, and there's no doubt that they're now having a major effect on confidence, investment, and spending. It's against this challenging backdrop that we must consider our responsibility to meet these consumer needs and deliver for the environment. Back in 2015, at the timing of the Paris Agreement, Toyota set out its commitment to be carbon neutral globally by 2050. And earlier this year, Toyota was certified by the Science Based Targets Initiative, or SBTi, as meeting the 1.5 degrees standard for its global Scope 1 and 2 reduction targets. This independent confirmation illustrates that we are on the right path to meet our global carbon neutrality commitment for 2050. When you consider our global footprint, which includes many countries where the implementation of the necessary environmental initiatives is not so straightforward, this is a massive commitment. However, here in Europe, it's clear that many of the key enablers are being put in place to support a much faster transition. As such, we have an opportunity to accelerate our plans, and today, for Europe, I can confirm that our ambition is to reach full carbon neutrality by 2040, a decade earlier than global Toyota. There are essentially three key phases to that journey. The first is to be carbon neutral across all our manufacturing plants and corporate facilities by 2030. The second is to be ready for 100% of our sales in the EU, the UK, and the EFTA markets to be zero-emission vehicles only by 2035. And the final step is to secure carbon neutrality across our purchased goods and services and our logistics operations by 2040. That means that for elements that are totally within our control, i.e. Scope 1 and 2, we will already be carbon neutral in Europe by 2030. However, to achieve Scope 3 by 2040, which includes those areas outside of our direct control, the challenge is much greater, and we need strong external collaboration to get there. This is one of the reasons that we've established our annual Sustainability Forum with a diverse range of key stakeholders. Includes suppliers, think tanks, academia, government representatives, and NGOs, where we openly discuss these challenges and the innovative ideas that are required to solve them. Between now and 2040, we in Europe must travel the fastest and the furthest of all Toyota regions. As such, we have an important role to play in leading the electrification acceleration and carbon neutrality ambitions for Toyota globally. And let me confirm to you that we're excited to be the pioneers in finding the answers to some of the biggest questions facing our industry and our global organization. Solutions that will deliver a sustainable business, as well as our commitment to the environment and to society. To realize these ambitions, here in Europe, we've developed a comprehensive cross-company business strategy, and it's called Going Beyond for 2030. Today, we'll focus on two key elements of that strategy. The first is carbon neutrality and how we plan to achieve it across all areas of our business. And the second, as we transition from a manufacturing and sales company to a provider of mobility services, is the future of mobility. To explain our approach to carbon neutrality, I'm delighted to be joined by Gil Pratt, Toyota's Global Chief Scientist, by Kylie Jimenez, our Senior Vice President of Corporate Affairs here in Europe, and by Marvin, our European Executive Vice President for Manufacturing and Supply Chain. This is so that we can give you an insight into both our global thinking, but also the concrete actions that we're taking locally here in Europe. Later, I'll also be joined by Dr. James Kuffner, CEO of Woven Planet Holdings and Chief Digital Officer of Toyota Motor Corporation, to talk about how we see the future of mobility. But before we look forward, let's begin with the current realities that we're facing, and with a quick overview of our business performance and our short-term outlook. Like everyone else, we failed to anticipate not just the magnitude of continued supply chain disruption, but also the major geopolitical and economic events that lay ahead of us. These have led to a significant downturn in the market. But against this backdrop, we have shown incredible resilience and determination. And I'm very proud to say that we expect our 2022 full-year sales result for Toyota and Lexus combined to be close to 1.1 million vehicle sales. This represents a small but important improvement in sales compared to last year, despite the European market falling by nearly 12%. I'm particularly pleased with our market share. We have continued to outperform the market, and we expect our calendar year 22 market share to be close to 7.3%. That's 0.9 points above last year. It's a record for us, and it confirms Toyota as the number 2 automotive brand in Europe. In this respect, we've already achieved our 2025 market share ambition that I previously shared with you. Turning to 2023, due to the uncertain supply outlook, I'm reluctant to give you a sales forecast commitment. But I can say that we expect to see further volume and market share growth. On reflection, we've been able to perform better than many of our competitors through this period of turmoil. And I believe that one of the key contributors to our success has been our multi-technology approach, which has enabled us to meet a very diverse range of customer needs in this fast-changing environment. There are, however, some areas of our business that have been severely impacted by the supply disruption. For Lexus, there's no denying that 2022 has been a very tough year, with sales significantly lower than last year. And that's the result of two key factors. In the East, the conflict in Ukraine led us to stop all sales in Russia, previously our largest market for Lexus in Europe, accounting for more than 25% of our Lexus sales. Sales were also temporarily suspended in Ukraine, but successfully restarted in the summer thanks to our resilient Ukrainian network. And amazingly, today they're operating at about 50% of last year's volume. In the West, we have simply not been able to keep supply in line with demand due to the parts shortages. With all our Lexus models produced in Japan, we've experienced significant production cuts on key models, including the new generation NX, a model that was very central to our growth aspirations this year. Our order banks, however, remain very high, so we are confident that when supply limitations ease, our Lexus growth momentum here in Europe will continue. Next year, we'll start deliveries of the new generation RX, our flagship SUV, which has been completely reinvented. And also of RZ, our first BEV on the eTNGA platform. Together with NX, these three models represent our strongest offensive yet in the DE premium SUV segment and form the heart of our growth strategy by providing a choice of plug-in hybrid, electric, and full hybrid. On top of this, within this privileged group, I can also share with you that there will be some very exciting product news coming from Lexus next year, with a very special focus on Europe. Looking forward, you can also expect more technological leadership from Lexus. Last year, Akio Toyoda explained that Lexus will lead our corporate electrification efforts. And this is much more than a powertrain story. How do we reinvent the driving experience in an electric era? How do we make enthusiast drivers smile at the wheel of electric cars by providing something truly fun to drive? This has become the mission of Lexus and its engineers. Today, I'd like to show you one of the vehicles that we're working on. You will see that when we say that driving pleasure is central to our thinking, that we mean it. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the Lexus Electrified Sport. This amazing concept is our vision for a full electric, high-performance sports car capable of accelerating to 100 kilometers per hour in a little bit more than 2 seconds. It also showcases a new evolution of our design language, matching superior aerodynamics with intriguing elegance and attention to the smallest details. When you have the chance to take a closer look at this model later today, you will see it really is a work of art. The dynamic capability of the electrified Sport will, of course, be developed on the racetrack, and it will benefit from our relentless search for the ultimate performance in motorsports. During the Lexus deep dive session later, we'll share more information about our next generation electrification technologies. And for that, we're very pleased to have the chief engineer of Lexus Electrified, Mr. Takahashi Watanabe, with us today. Watanabe-san, thank you very much for joining this Kenshiki event. Although Lexus will lead our global thinking in terms of electrified technology development and implementation, it's the Toyota brand that will bring volume and accessibility through the rollout of our BZ electric vehicle lineup. Last year, when we premiered the BZ4X, I told you that it was just the beginning. At that time, I wasn't able to share any details or clarify how many BZ models there would be or by when we would launch them. However, today I can confirm that we plan to have 6 BZ models on sale in Europe by 2026. More than that, I can also give you a preview of one of them. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at another future member of our BZ family, the BZ compact SUV concept. SUV concept illustrates our desire to develop vehicles that are not just battery electric powered, but also created using low-impact sustainable materials. Cars that bring dynamic performance, leading technology, and stylish design. The design language of this concept SUV is purposefully futuristic, and it pushes the wheels to the corners to create an aggressive stance. Short overhangs and body creases are intended to make it stand out as an advanced technology vehicle. It includes sustainable, eco-friendly touches, like seating that's made from plant-based and recycled materials. Both of these cars, the electrified Sport from Lexus and the Toyota BZ compact SUV, indicate our clear commitment to battery electric vehicles. There is no doubt that BEVs will play an ever-increasing role in the transition to 100% zero-emission vehicles by 2035 in Europe. And we believe it's too early and perhaps too risky for the environment and for our customers to put all ZEV eggs in the BEV basket. Furthermore, in the transition decade that lies ahead, we believe it's important to continue to offer low-emission solutions to all of our customers so that nobody is left behind. We'll therefore maintain our strategy of deploying as many technologies as possible and offering an increased range of hybrid and plug-in hybrid solutions. That strategy began 25 years ago with the launch of the first generation Prius. And I think it's fair to say that there were some doubts that hybrid would become mainstream. Nevertheless, we continued our journey, and the technology and know-how that we've developed over the last 30 years now enables us to offer an increasingly wide portfolio of accessible and efficient electrified products. Today, hybrid remains a trusted and powerful differentiator for Toyota, particularly here in Europe. And in the future, we believe the same will be true of hydrogen technology. The opportunity for hydrogen goes way beyond light vehicles, and we're seeing a marked acceleration in interest across all transport sectors, especially from markets that are looking to secure energy independence, like Germany. To learn more about that and the importance of a diverse electrified lineup, let me welcome Gil Pratt, our Chief Scientist.
Thank you very much, Matt. Today I'm going to address 2 questions. The first one is why we see so much promise in hydrogen, particularly for larger vehicles like trucks, which actually carry 77% of all freight in the European Union. The second is why we believe that in order to reduce carbon as much as possible, as soon as possible, it's essential to both make millions of zero-emission vehicles by 2035, like Matt just said, and to offer other electrified powertrains that fit diverse circumstances. So before I get into these questions, I want to make something really clear. Toyota is committed to battery electric vehicles, and BEVs will play an important role in helping us get to carbon neutrality. Yet other electrified powertrains are also necessary to reduce carbon emissions as much as possible, as soon as possible. So let's begin with the hydrogen story. As the figures that you see here show, hydrogen has benefits where lithium batteries are weak and vice versa. Gray hydrogen, which is shown on the bottom left, is produced today at an enormous scale to make fertilizer. It's actually enough to fill millions of vehicles, hydrogen vehicles, every year. We know that gray hydrogen will need to be replaced with more environmentally friendly options. And luckily, there's several alternatives that show promise, from turquoise that you see here on the left to green that you see over on the right. So we as Toyota are confident that hydrogen will become one of the important tools used to combat climate change. Now, beyond its uses today, we believe that hydrogen will be used in the future for steel making, for cement making, and for storage of renewable energy, where it's 10 times less expensive at scale than batteries. Many people don't know that, actually. And it's because that, unlike batteries, hydrogen decouples the scale of the storage tank from the scale of the energy conversion device. So at Toyota, we also see significant potential in vehicles, particularly larger vehicles where hydrogen's lower mass and faster refueling is essential. So I'm going to do some simple math with you to see why. To compete with diesel, a typical large European truck needs about 1 megawatt hour of propulsive energy storage. And that's around 10 times what is required for a long-range, lightweight battery electric vehicle, for a car. And as a result, large truck BEVs take 10 times more average power to recharge than cars. European trucks take around 6 minutes, diesel trucks that is, to fill at a typical pump. For a comparable battery electric truck, it takes 60 minutes. So to handle the same demand, each diesel pump needs to be replaced by 10 electrical chargers, each of them 10 times higher power than a lightweight BEV charger, for a total average power of 10 megawatts. Now, many truck stops have several diesel pumps, which raises the equivalent electrical power to several tens of megawatts. And I know I'm speaking megawatts, and some of you may not know what that is, but let's take a look at how much power that really is in an intuitive way. And here's a way to get a feel for it. A home's average electrical use during the day is around 2,500 watts, 2.5 kilowatts. So 10 megawatts of power is the equivalent of 4,000 homes. And that's just for one diesel pump equivalent. And remember that a truck stop may have several diesel pumps. Now, the current electrical grid is not designed to deliver this level of power to truck stops, and it's going to require tremendous investment and time to evolve. And by contrast, hydrogen can refuel a truck as quickly as diesel with the same number of pumps. This is one of the reasons that Toyota believes in the promise of hydrogen. With that, let me turn now to why, despite our firm commitment to ZEVs in some parts of the world, we also believe that other electrified powertrains are also going to be necessary. And let me start with a sobering reality about some of the critical materials used to make battery cells. Lithium, for example. Well, lithium prices are presently at an all-time high, over $50,000 per ton. It's a factor of 10 higher than just 2 years ago. Now, some of this is because of geopolitical events, but mostly it's because of quickly rising demand, underinvestment in mines over the past few decades, and the time that it takes to bring new mines online. So here's a quote. Simon Moores of Benchmark Mineral Intelligence said in the Wall Street Journal that it takes 4 to 7 years to build a lithium mine, but it takes only 24 months to build a battery plant. And these two parts of the supply chain don't live in the same time zone. So we have to ask ourselves, what are the repercussions of these shortages on climate change? Can we make battery material supply improve? Can we wait? And unfortunately, the answer is no. We can't wait. The carbon that we emit now will not only harm us, it's going to harm our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren. Why is that? Well, it's because carbon dioxide remains in the atmosphere for a long time, for up to 100 years. So we must lower carbon emissions as much as possible, as soon as possible. Now, how can we do that? How can we reduce carbon now in an era of battery material shortages and less than adequate charging infrastructure? It's a really important question. Well, we can do it by purposefully distributing the limited number of battery cells that we produce to where they will do the most good. In BEVs, where that's most appropriate, but also in a diversity of other electrified powertrains where that is best. Let me explain why. Now, many of you have seen charts like this one that's up on the screen that come from the ICCT that compares the lifetime carbon emission rates of different types of vehicles. But these charts are only good for when battery materials and energy charging infrastructure are plentiful. It's in those conditions that it makes sense to take this kind of view, which is a microeconomic view and a microeconomic focus. When battery materials as well as renewable energy charging infrastructures are scarce, which is what they're going to be for the next 10 to 15 years, we need to employ systems thinking. We have to consider things from a different perspective, from a macroeconomic perspective. So I'm going to walk you through a specific example. And we're going to start with 100 non-electrified vehicles, shown on the screen in orange. And they have a typical lifetime emissions rate, considering manufacturing and operating conditions, of, let's say, 250 grams of CO2 per kilometer. It's an assumption, but I'll talk about that in a minute. Now, let's take 100 kilowatt hours of lithium battery cells and consider 3 different scenarios for distributing those cells. In the first one, we're going to use all of those 100 kilowatts of cells to replace one of the 100 non-electrified vehicles with a single long-range BEV, and that's shown in blue. And the lifetime emissions rate of that BEV, we're going to assume, is much less, let's say 100 grams of CO2 per kilometer. Looks great, that blue BEV up there, doesn't it? But because we've used the entire battery supply to just make one BEV, the result on that whole screen of system thinkings and macroeconomic perspective is 248.5 grams of CO2 per kilometer, nearly that of a non-electrified vehicle. That's scenario number 1. Now let's look at scenario number 2. Let's use the same battery cells that we had to replace 6 of the 100 non-electrified vehicles with 18 kilowatt hour PHEVs that are shown in pink. And their lifetime emissions rate is 150 grams of CO2 per kilometer. What's the result? Fleet average of 244 grams of CO2 per kilometer. Better than 248.5 that we had before, but the vast number of undisplaced non-electrified vehicles still dominates that result. All right, scenario number 3. Let's use those same battery cells and replace 90 of the 100 non-electrified vehicles with 1.1 kilowatt hour HEVs, hybrid electric vehicles. Then they're shown in green, whose lifetime emissions rate is 200 grams of CO2 per kilometer. What's the result here? Well, I'm sure you can kind of guess it. It's 205 grams per kilometer on average, which is close to the carbon emissions of the HEV, and it's the lowest average carbon emissions by far. So by utilizing their batteries better, HEVs are also more affordable. They're easier to recycle, and they do not require charging infrastructure, which is a good match for a large part of the world's population in the coming 15 years. Not everywhere is like the best parts of Europe. So we can debate the lifetime average carbon emission numbers that I've assumed here for each vehicle type, but as I'm sure you'll see, the result is not going to change significantly because the dominant factor is the different numbers of non-electrified vehicles that are displaced by the same amount of battery, not the exact lifetime emissions of each powertrain type. And this is the fundamental rationale for Toyota's diverse approach. We want to distribute the limited supply of battery materials where they will reduce carbon emissions as much as possible, as soon as possible. Now, during the coming 10 to 15 years of battery material shortages, we believe that precious battery cells should not be squandered in only long-range BEVs, especially ones that are driven a short distance between recharges. Rather, we believe that battery cells should be put where they will do the most good. Now, rhetorical question, does this mean that we believe that hybrids and plug-in hybrids should be used instead of ZEVs everywhere and forever? Well, you heard Matt, he said no, and I say no also, because I know there's plenty of lithium and other materials in the earth. We expect that after 15 years or so, that the output of mines is going to catch up, the output of refineries are going to catch up, and recycling will also come into play. And as time goes by, we expect that renewable energy charging infrastructure is going to increase significantly, and ZEVs are going to become more and more practical everywhere in the world. And of course, now, in parts of the world like the Netherlands, as an example, that already have ubiquitous renewable energy charging infrastructure, it makes sense to go ZEV sooner, as long as the battery packs in our cars are sized to maximize, cell utilization. We want to make sure we're not wasting cells in any of those cars. The point is that around the world, vehicle owners are incredibly diverse. They use their vehicles in different ways. They live in markets with different energy supply mixes, and they have access to very different levels of charging infrastructure. So amidst all of that diversity of circumstances, we can't expect that a single powertrain is going to offer the optimal solution everywhere. So in summary, I hope that you can see why that Toyota's plans are that for the next 10 to 15 years, we plan to offer diverse powertrains for diverse circumstances. Our goal is to reduce carbon emissions as much as possible, as soon as possible. And that's the reason. And it's why we say that carbon is the enemy, not a particular powertrain. And with that, let me turn it over to Kylie.
Thanks, Gil. The power of diversity is something we're embracing across the entire business, not just in powertrains. On our journey to develop a different kind of business, a business that seeks to create mobility and happiness for all, we need to make sure we maximize the range of mindsets, perspectives, and thought processes. So how do we do this? Well, for us, it means an increased focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. In fact, we believe it's such a competitive advantage that it's become a top priority in our regional strategy, and our ambition is to become the global leader of DE&I within Toyota. And that's why all of our leaders across Europe have DE&I in their business plans, with concrete actions covering a broad range of diversity priorities, from LGBT to age, race and ethnicity, physical disability, neurodiversity, and gender. And there's already proof points to illustrate our progress. For instance, our hiring ratio of women has risen from 36% to 45% just in the last 2 years. But we recognize that the talent pool of female candidates in automotive is scarce. There simply is not enough women choosing STEM careers. Actually, in Europe, it's only 18%. So while we're targeting women and other diverse groups in our traction strategy, we're also working on increasing the pipeline of women in STEM, because just 26% of schoolgirls are interested in STEM subjects. And studies have shown that we can almost double this when kids have a role model. So knowing this, what do we do? Well, through our Girls STEM the Future programs, we've been working to change stereotypes for girls in schools. Our own female Toyota role models interact with schoolgirls in classroom sessions, on-site visits to our research and development center, and innovation camps. And they see what it's really like to work at Toyota. And by doing this, we raise the aspiration of young girls. And despite only 18% of women choosing STEM careers in Europe, our efforts are actually paying off. Last year, 37% of our hires in R&D were women. But what might surprise you is the results that we're getting in our manufacturing plants. In Poland, we reached 30% female representation right from shop floor to our leadership. Just this year, Turkey took up the same challenge, and within 1 year, we've moved from 3% women on the shop floor to 11%. And what that means in real terms is that 1 in every 3 hires was a woman. So it's my hope that when people think of the success that we're having at TME, it will be understood that it's because of our diversity advantage. Now, that's not the only area where Toyota Motor Europe is taking the lead. As Matt mentioned earlier, our ambition in Europe is to reach carbon neutrality a decade earlier than global Toyota, which means 2040. With that in mind, we've established bold carbon neutral vehicle and manufacturing commitments. So, firstly, when we're talking about vehicles, as Gil mentioned, we believe the enemy is carbon, not a particular powertrain. The real goal is to reduce carbon emissions as much as possible, as soon as possible. Toyota is actually one of only 2 global companies operating in 170 markets around the world. And we believe that it's clear that those markets will not be ready for zero-emission vehicles at the same time. For instance, here in Europe, one of the most affluent regions in the world, the speed of transition varies greatly. In Greece, where GDP is relatively low, the infrastructure is currently less than 1 charging point per 100 kilometers. Even in Poland, where GDP is higher, the number of points per 100 kilometers is still less than 1. And in Norway, where you might believe there's a wide availability, in the northern region, Finnmark, there's only 5 charging points per 100 kilometers. And the resultant take-up for BEVs, as a result, is very much lower than in Oslo, which has 162 points per 100 kilometers. So, how should we respond to customers in Greece, Poland, and the north of Norway? Well, our belief is the most responsible thing to do is provide them with an appropriate solution that allows them to reduce their carbon footprint now. And that's why we offer battery electric vehicles and fuel cell electric vehicles and plug-in hybrids and hybrids. We actually call this the power of and, because rarely does it one size fits all, especially when you consider the diversity of customer needs and infrastructure readiness. This approach ensures that nobody is left behind in the quest to reduce carbon emissions, and it illustrates why we see an ongoing need for hybrid and plug-in hybrid technology in the years to come. And what better way to illustrate that commitment than with the vehicle that started the hybrid revolution and went on to sell over 5 million worldwide. Please join me in welcoming the all-new Prius. Wow, what a great looking car. As you can see, it has a bold and attractive style that connects to the Prius heritage, but it also brings it bang up to date with Toyota's design language, as highlighted by the hammerhead front face. It's slippery too, which of course helps to minimize consumption and maximize range. But it's what's going on under the skin that has the biggest impact on efficiency. Reinforcing its role as the halo for hybrid, the new Prius is the first vehicle in our portfolio to combine the new 5th-generation hybrid technology with plug-in capability. The result is around 70 kilometers of EV range, which is more than enough for the majority of daily journeys and beyond. Of course, it's our hybrid halo, but we also like to think of Prius as an EV, with the backup and reassurance of an incredibly efficient hybrid system if needed. And we believe that's how many of our customers will see this car. The new Prius will allow them to drive as an EV for the vast majority of their journeys. At the same time, remove anxiety when they're not able to plug in for any reason. Yes, it's yellow, so let's address the yellow elephant in the room, and I'm not actually talking about my jacket. You might be thinking, how hard was it to find a jacket the exact same color as the car? Well, actually, not as hard as you would believe. I actually bought this a couple of months ago before I even knew what color the Prius would be that we'd have here today. But the truth is that the color is just super on trend. Now, for some of those who don't follow color trends, and I have a feeling looking here that might be many of you are not, you might have thought a little bit like I did the first time when you saw it and thought New York taxi. And indeed, you're probably right. Many mobility providers have previously chosen Prius due to its legendary efficiency and durability. But today, mobility providers are able to choose from a wide range of vehicles in our portfolio, such as Corolla, Camry, RAV4 plug-in, BZ4X, and Mirai, depending on their local environments and their customers' needs. This again illustrates why it's important and beneficial to have a diverse range of low-carbon solutions, this time ensuring that no mobility provider gets left behind. Likewise, on the journey to carbon neutrality, we're also committing that no area of our business be left behind, including our manufacturing facilities, where we've accelerated targets and have brought forward some really creative ideas. To tell us more about that, please welcome our Executive Vice President, Marvin Cook.
Thank you, Kylie. Good afternoon, everyone. As you've heard, our commitment to reducing carbon goes beyond the vehicles we sell. On our European path to carbon neutrality, by 2040, we target bringing all of our manufacturing facilities in Europe to carbon neutral by 2030. Now, when you consider the geographic spread of our facilities and the diverse environments in which they operate, I'm sure that you can imagine how the techniques that we develop here can be implemented all over the world. So let me give you an overview of what we've achieved so far. Our approach is to minimize energy consumption as much as possible and at the same time switch to renewable energy. And our actions are already having a dramatic impact. And this year, we expect to reduce our overall carbon dioxide by around 4,750 tons. Let me give you a few examples of what we've done. In our plant in Wałbrzych, Poland, we've implemented a heat recovery system that ensures as much thermal energy as possible can be recycled. The implementation of special rotors and highly efficient fans means that we've been able to reduce our energy consumption by 82%, which is around 12,000 megawatt hours, or in other words, enough energy to power and heat over 1,000 homes for 1 year. And of course, 82% energy reduction means 82% saving in carbon emissions. Similarly, in our plant in Burnaston, UK, we've implemented a heat recovery system in our paint booth. That allows us to reduce our energy consumption by 96%, which again directly translates into a 96% saving in carbon emissions. This last initiative recently received a global award for the best Kaizen idea within Toyota. These innovative ideas are already being implemented in other plants to similar effect, and not just here in Europe. In parallel, we've been working to secure our much reduced energy need from zero emission or carbon neutral sources. A good example of this is our approach to our plant in Deeside in the UK. There we've installed solar panels equivalent to 10 football pitches to give us a good supply of zero emission electricity. And we're collaborating with a local company to process more than 90% of our waste to generate biogas, which can be used to produce electricity and biomethane. We see that this approach is working very well. In fact, in the case of Deeside, we expect this plant to be carbon neutral as early as 2025. So, I'm confident we will deliver our commitment of carbon neutrality for all of our European plants by 2030. But maybe now you're wondering, what are we going to be producing in that time frame? Well, let me give you a glimpse into one of our next steps. For many years, we've been producing hybrid vehicles in Europe with an increasing number of locally manufactured hybrid systems and components. Today, we're announcing for the first time we're going to start assembling batteries in Europe. We are now preparing for the supply of plug-in hybrid batteries for a new model to be launched during the course of next year. I can't tell you the details of the battery size, nor the volume we intend to produce. But what I can do is give you a preview of the all-new model that will come with a plug-in option. When we set out to design the new CHR, we made a promise that we would stay true to everything that made it an icon by making a bold car even bolder and even more attractive. Right now, I have the opportunity to show you that this is a promise we're keeping. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the new CHR Prologue.
La Toyota CHR, esteticamente il y a un vrai parti pris.
Ma non è il concept, è la macchina di produzione.
Hay que ver su aspecto exterior, vanguardista.
When we were working on the original CHR, we really wanted to create a brand new genre within the C segment. But when we created the design, we really wondered how we were going to get this unique car into production.
When you're driving it, it says something about you.
For the next CHR, we really wanted to challenge ourselves to surpass what we'd already achieved.
Prologue, as I'm sure you know, is typically an indication of what's to come next. And that's exactly what we want to convey with this model. Just like the Igo Cross Prologue from last year, the CHR Prologue model gives you a strong indication of how the next generation CHR will look. And as I suggested earlier, we're ready to confirm that the new CHR will come with a plug-in hybrid variant with a battery pack assembled here in Europe. There will also be a hybrid version that will use our latest hybrid technology. Now, you've probably noticed the CHR Prologue has a clear connection with the BZ compact SUV concept, and this is not by accident. These two vehicles will be launched together into the largest and most competitive market sector in Europe, the market segment we call CSUV. CHR Prologue will appeal to those looking for hybrid or plug-in hybrid solutions, and the VZ compact SUV concept will appeal to those looking for a full electric solution. Together, they confirm a continuation of the wider electrification strategy of leaving nobody behind, as Kylie mentioned earlier. And as previewed earlier, we believe hydrogen is certain to play a stronger role in our strategy. To tell us more about our strategy for hydrogen, please let me welcome Matt back to the stage. Thank you. Cheers, Matt.
Thank you, Marvin. You've just heard about how our manufacturing team is making great progress towards carbon neutrality. But now I'd like to elaborate on how we're planning to leverage hydrogen on that carbon journey. Gil shared why we see so much promise in hydrogen, why it's increasingly clear that hydrogen is going to form a key part of Europe's energy strategy, and why there's a growing appetite to accelerate. To help speed up expansion of hydrogen technology, we're pursuing a strategy that extends far beyond passenger cars, and it's based around 3 pillars: light vehicles, business to business or B2B, and the creation of new ecosystems. Regarding light vehicles, our Mirai fuel cell sedan is now in its 2nd generation, and there are a growing number of localized fleet applications where Mirai is being used to great zero emissions effect. For example, Paris has the world's largest fleet of zero-emission hydrogen-powered taxis, with over 600 Mirais. Similar initiatives can also be found in Copenhagen, in Berlin, and in Hamburg. And we're now also exploring expansion of hydrogen technology to other passenger vehicles, where fuel cell can deliver a competitive advantage. At the end of this week, we will announce the prototype development of a fuel cell Hilux in conjunction with 4 UK engineering partners and supported by the UK government. Development is progressing well, and we're moving ahead with preparing small-scale production at our plant in Burnaston. The second pillar is heavier-duty B2B applications, where Gil has already highlighted the significant benefits. We have many projects underway, particularly in the truck, bus, rail, and maritime sectors, as well as stationary power generators. Our automotive partnerships include developing a fuel cell city bus with Salvador Caetano and the supply of our 2nd-generation fuel cell stack to Daimler for their Mercedes-Benz Equitaro bus. Turning to the maritime sector, we also recently worked with Energy Observer Development, or EODev, to successfully integrate our fuel cell technology into the Energy Observer boat, ahead of its emission-free crossings of the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans. We also partnered with EODev to create hydrogen-powered generators, an example of which was recently used to light up the Eiffel Tower in Paris. The third pillar of our hydrogen strategy is to create new ecosystems. This means teaming up with like-minded partners to establish sustainable hydrogen partnerships and solutions. One good example is in Germany, where we're working with the green hydrogen provider GP Joule and our bus partner, Salvador Caetano, to expand supply and infrastructure. It's a model that we'd like to repeat elsewhere, with 2 clear objectives in mind. Firstly, accelerating the distribution of preferably green hydrogen together with the required infrastructure. And secondly, enabling the development of mobility-related applications with each stakeholder. By working with partners to create this interdependency, we can develop a stronger business model and support communities that want to further expand into fully fledged hydrogen corridors. Our hydrogen ambition is clearly resonating with an increasingly wide group of customers, and our fuel cell business unit is inundated with requests for collaboration. So to meet this increased demand, we're already assembling our second generation fuel cell modules here in Brussels. And we plan to expand production to one of our European manufacturing plants as the demand increases. This is why hydrogen leadership is a key pillar of our Going Beyond roadmap and our strategy to achieve carbon neutrality by 2040. Now, I can't close the hydrogen topic without mentioning the other opportunity that we're exploring. I'm talking, of course, about hydrogen combustion. I'm sure that those of you who joined us at our last Kenshiki forum remember the hydrogen GR Yaris. For certain, you recall the noise and the excitement, almost like we discovered the Holy Grail, keeping everything we love about driving today, but delivering it in a zero-emission world of tomorrow. Since then, our engineering teams have been working hard to further develop the technology and have been testing at a number of endurance races. Here in Belgium, I joined Akio Toyoda at the WRC Ypres rally a couple of months ago, where he personally drove the hydrogen GR Yaris along the rally route during the weekend. Let's hear what he had.
The hydrogen is one of the solutions of carbon neutrality. I know the carbon neutrality is one of the solutions is BEV. However, we have many other solutions. This is CO2 zero for vehicles and fun to drive, and also sounds like engines.
I think the smile on his face tells you all you need to know about how the car performs, and importantly, how it sounds. The progress in hydrogen combustion technology development has been rapid over this last year. For instance, during this season's highly demanding endurance races in Japan, we were able to increase engine power by 24% and improve torque by 33%. And we were able to significantly reduce the refueling time from 4 minutes 40 seconds all the way to 1 minute 30 seconds. We're now at the point where we're transferring our learnings from motorsport into a prototype road car for everyday use. By combining fuel cell packaging technology from Mirai and state-of-the-art high-pressure direct injection combustion technology from our Gazoo racing activity, we have created a hydrogen combustion version of the Corolla Cross. It can accommodate 5 passengers, and because the hydrogen tanks are installed under the floor, it can accommodate their luggage too. We're probably about 40% along the path to commercialization, and I don't know if we'll reach all the way to 100%, but clearly it's too early to stop trying, and definitely there's a big opportunity in motorsports. If we do get there, then like the Corolla Cross, maybe there's also a hydrogen combustion solution that can contribute to meeting the future ZEV mandates. I'm sure you all have many questions about hydrogen combustion, and I'm delighted, therefore, that we're joined today by Minami Yama-san from Gazoo Racing to provide answers to your questions during this evening's dinner. Minami Yama-san, please. Our Gazoo Racing organization is at the forefront of our hydrogen combustion development activity. Led by Koji Sato, under the direction of Akio Toyoda, Gazoo Racing continues to enjoy great success on the world motorsport stage. At the beginning of this year, Nasser Al-Attiyah and Mathieu Baumel secured the Dakar Rally title in their GR DKR Hilux. They went on to win the inaugural World Rally Raid Championship titles. Really a fantastic achievement against some very capable opposition. Then, in the World Endurance Championship, we again secured driver and constructor titles, including a fantastic 1-2 finish for the GR010 hypercar at Le Mans. Personally, I'm very excited at the prospect of an expanded hypercar entry list for next season and can't wait to see the cars in action in the Le Mans Centenary race. Winning the World Championship titles in World Rally Raid and World Endurance this year is already reason enough to celebrate. But it's the addition of the World Rally titles too that gives us cause to be especially proud. What a remarkable performance from Kalle Rovanperä in his number 69 GR Yaris R1. Just one day after his 22nd birthday, Kalle became the youngest ever WRC driver champion. We knew he was good, but wow, what an achievement. Congratulations to Kalle and his co-driver Yoni, and of course to the team that so ably supported them both on the way to bringing home the WRC manufacturer's title. A triple crown of success for Gazoo Racing in 2022, and an exciting future ahead as we cascade our learnings and technologies from motorsport to help us make ever better cars. Now, you may have noticed that Kinto is a key sponsor for our motor racing activity, and it's a different kind of mobility that I'd like to talk to you about next. As I mentioned earlier, as a company, we are in a transition phase from a manufacturing and sales organization to a mobility provider. And as part of that process, we're developing Kinto into our dedicated mobility brand. Kinto aims to be a one-stop shop for mobility services, offering customers a broad range of solutions tailored to suit a wide range of mobility needs. There are currently around 500 employees working at Kinto, and we have subsidiaries now in Spain, Italy, Germany, UK, France, Poland, and Portugal. Kinto One, which is our full-service leasing business, represents the cornerstone of our operations, and it's already active in over 10 countries across Europe, with a portfolio of more than 150,000 vehicles in operation. I'm very pleased with the progress that we've made, and that the decisions we took have already helped us create a profitable business. But let me explain where we want to take Kinto next. After a period of evaluating several pilots in different European countries, we're now entering a phase of focus and scale. Kinto One, Kinto Share, and Kinto Flex, our respective full lease, car share, and flexible subscription services, are the ones that we will prioritize over the next 3 years. And we will work to standardize these selected services throughout Europe. Regardless of where a customer is, or whatever their mobility needs are, each one of them should have a similar and a seamless experience. And that experience should come at a price that's fair and affordable. We believe affordability can only be achieved by thinking differently about vehicle ownership over its life. And that's something we refer to as vehicle lifetime value. Customers of Kinto One, our full-service leasing activity, increasingly expect us to handle more of their mobility transactions. to get to the point where they simply have to pay a monthly fee and not worry about anything else. This is an opportunity to optimize cost, improve customer experience, and reduce environmental impact. We have big ambitions with Kinto. And key to scaling our Kinto businesses and leveraging the opportunity of vehicle lifetime value will be our long-term partners, our wide retail network. Together, we intend to double the Kinto business from 150,000 vehicles in operation to 300,000 by 2025. Now, of course, this is what we're doing here and now with existing vehicles, infrastructures, and environments. But as you're aware, Toyota is already looking way beyond today and towards the future of mobility. To explain more, please give a warm welcome to the CEO of Woven Planet Holdings, James Kuffner.
Thank you, Matt. Good afternoon, everyone. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to Woven Planet and to share with you a glimpse at Toyota's automotive technology strategy and where Toyota is headed in the future, particularly with regard to software. For thousands of years, humans have been moving, building things, communicating with each other, and thinking. Transportation technology has dramatically improved how people move, allowing us to move much further and faster than our biological limits. And manufacturing technology has dramatically changed the precision and scale with which humans can build things. And we've all lived through the information technology revolution that has transformed how we communicate with each other instantly, anywhere, anytime, around the world. And finally, new technology for artificial intelligence is fundamentally transforming how humans think and process data. If you put all these things together, you get an intelligent, connected, automated vehicle. This is why it is such a tremendously exciting time to be working in this industry today. What lies at the heart of this revolution is the computer. The computer is what many consider to be the most complex machine that humans have ever created. In fact, you cannot design and build today's computer without a computer. But it's more than just a single computer. We have created data centers, millions of networked CPUs and data storage units. The modern network data center, or cloud, allows us to compute solutions to problems that were unthinkable even a short 10 years ago. If we add the power of computers to electromechanical systems, we can create programmable machines that can reason about and interact with objects in the physical world. And of course, I'm talking about robots. In their many forms, from industrial arms to anthropomorphic service robots to connected autonomous vehicles. And these intelligent machines can now leverage the incredible computing infrastructure of the cloud. Distributed fleets of connected vehicles and connected robots can now wirelessly access near limitless amounts of remote computation and cloud data storage. And what powers this amazing new computing infrastructure? Software. Software and digital technology is revolutionizing the automotive industry and the future of mobility. At Woven Planet, we think about 3 different types of mobility: the mobility of people, the mobility of goods, and the mobility of information. Throughout the COVID pandemic, people have embraced new kinds of digital technology to support remote work, remote learning, and on-demand delivery of food and packages. But mobility is more than just physical mobility. I think what is also very important is the emotional aspect of mobility, which is, I am moved. Toyota has always strived to build products and services that bring people joy and happiness. In other words, how do we move people's hearts? Our vision is mobility to love and safety to live. We aim to deliver the safest, most reliable, human-centered mobility for all. Mobility that customers love and trust. But Toyota and our entire industry is facing an enormous challenge. How can we deliver high-quality automotive software at scale? I would like to share with you our approach. One, we're creating new software platforms and tools, processes, and a culture shift to software-defined development at Toyota. This will improve productivity by delivering software that allows scalability and the reuse of code across the hundreds of Toyota and Lexus models. Two, we're providing Toyota with the ability to deliver end-to-end digital experiences to customers. We're developing state-of-the-art automated driving and advanced safety technology that complements human driving skill. In 2021, we launched the Lexus LS 500 hybrid and the second-generation Mirai fuel cell electric vehicle with Woven Planet's Teammate automated driving technology, which enables advanced drive and advanced park functions on those vehicles. Advanced Drive provides ramp-to-ramp Level 2 plus automated driving on highways with hands-off capability, fully integrated with our advanced safety systems. In addition, all the Advanced Drive software can be updated via wireless communication over the air, making it possible to improve usability and provide the latest safety technology even after the vehicle is delivered to customers. In 2022, Woven Planet Teammate Advanced Drive won the Japan Industrial Technology Award for innovation that helps reduce driver fatigue and enhance awareness. But we are not stopping there. We're also developing the next generation production solutions for advanced safety and autonomy for both personally owned vehicles as well as future mobility as a service Level 4 autonomy products. However, through our experience in developing and launching these products to the market, we learned that it is not sufficient to develop solely the automated driving software components in isolation. Instead, a robust software development platform and tools are needed to enable automotive engineers to efficiently deploy high-quality software across multiple vehicle models without compromising safety and security. Woven Planet is building such a platform. We call this platform Arene. Arene embraces a software-defined architecture approach to designing vehicles that solves some of the industry's biggest challenges, such as managing the rapid increase in software complexity at a massive scale and reducing the costs associated with the development of advanced automotive software features. Software-defined architecture, or SDA, enables software and hardware components to be developed independently and reused, shortening the lead time of product development. New value to customers over the vehicle lifetime is then unlocked. This approach has already revolutionized the personal computing industry and the mobile phone industry, and soon it will transform the automotive industry. Arene's SDA design enables Toyota and Lexus to deliver powerful new features, improve satisfaction and happiness to customers worldwide, all without compromising our tradition of quality craftsmanship, safety, reliability, and long-lasting customer value. But perhaps nothing better captures Toyota's bold investment in the future of software and digital technology to support human-centered mobility than the Woven City project. Woven City aspires to become a unique proving ground to accelerate innovation and deliver the world's future mobility at scale. Officially announced by President Akio Toyoda in 2020, Woven City is a 700,000 square meter site at the base of Mount Fuji. The groundbreaking ceremony was held in February 2021, and the building construction is now underway. We expect to complete construction of Phase 1 by 2024 and begin mobility testing in 2025. When completed, Woven City will be a unique, human-centered, ever-evolving, living laboratory. It will allow us to accelerate our development and testing of integrated solutions for increasingly digitally connected cities of our future. As a test track, it will speed development of mobility technology, smart agriculture, clean energy, and healthy living, all powered by software and security with privacy built into its design. We have exciting plans to test new services such as electric personal mobility, automated goods delivery, flying mobility, and smart sustainable energy generation and storage. Last year, we announced a partnership with Enios to explore the utilization and application of hydrogen energy at Woven City, and ultimately leverage renewable hydrogen to make Woven City a model of sustainability for our world. Some of you may be wondering, what is the meaning and significance of the name Woven? The name Woven is a tribute to Toyota's rich history as an automated loom company, and the founding spirit of striving to create technology and products to help other people. When technology amplifies human potential, oftentimes that technology or product is beloved by people because they feel gratitude to be helped. Many Toyota customers love their cars that provide them safety, security, and amplify their ability to move. Some customers even name their cars. Through software and services, we will expand mobility and continue to make products that people love, and we will work tirelessly together to create benefits for society. In closing, to be human is to move. Throughout history, mobility has propelled social progress. And together with Toyota, we will never stop innovating around mobility. That is why I am really looking forward and excited to share with you more about our unique approach to transforming mobility through software during the upcoming deep dive session. Thank you so much for your attention. Back to you, Matt.
Thank you, James. I believe we all agree that mobility is a basic human right. Some go further and say that humans have an intrinsic need to be mobile, and without that ability, there's a risk to well-being. In this regard, Toyota is committed to putting customers first and serving society as a whole. This mission stems from our earliest values and principles, and it explains why we're focused on the future of sustainable mobility. That's what we mean when we talk about mobility for all and happiness for all. As James explained, we're working at speed on the key technological enablers of future mobility, including higher levels of autonomous capability, full digital evaluation environments, and Woven City, a working laboratory or test course where new technologies and developments can be validated in the real world. ARENE, our forthcoming software platform, is central to this activity, and it will help us accelerate the rollout of future zero-emission products. Today, there are millions of cars and drivers around the world, including approximately 450 million here in Europe. We want to serve all of those people in the best way possible. Many of them can't afford a zero-emission vehicle today, or they don't yet have reliable access to a charging or refueling infrastructure. We also know today that the industry cannot build a BEV for everyone, given the time required to increase the supply of lithium and other key elements. But as Gil highlighted, in order to minimize carbon emissions, everyone in the world must participate now. We need ecological solutions that are accessible to everyone. Because carbon is the enemy, not any particular powertrain. Environmentally friendly cars can only contribute if the environment, if they're popularized. And from that viewpoint, our range of hybrid and plug-in hybrid cars also have an important role to play. They are cars for the masses, not for the few. Beyond zero emissions, a brighter and happier mobility future awaits us all. But the journey needs to start today, not tomorrow. Whether the technology is battery electric, plug-in hybrid, fuel cell, hybrid, hydrogen combustion, or some yet-to-be-discovered technology, we commit to make every effort to offer better mobility solutions for the majority of people in Europe and around the world. Thank you very much for taking the time to join us here in Belgium today, and I hope you enjoy the deep dive sessions. Thank you.